Alabama holds a darker side that is rarely discussed beneath its deeply rooted Southern history. Here, thousands of homes stand empty, asphalt roads are slowly being swallowed by forest, and the names of once living towns are being erased from administrative maps. This phenomenon is not coincidence, but the result of unavoidable natural disasters, shifting economic corridors, and the collapse of industries that once served as the backbone of local communities. Some places have become archaeological sites frozen in the past, while others now sit at their lowest point, counting down the days until the last resident locks their front door for the final time. We are about to trace 15 points across Alabama that stand as silent witnesses to how small civilizations can fall and slowly be forgotten. First, Cahawba stands as a monument to humanity's failure to overcome nature. As Alabama's first capital between 1818 and 1826, it was once a center of power built at the meeting point of the Alabama and Cahawba rivers. But its low-lying location made it an easy target for repeated devastating floods. Each time the waters rose, the government center was paralyzed, until state leaders finally surrendered and moved the capital to Tuscaloosa. Interestingly, although Cahawba survived for a time as a cotton trading hub after the war, it was eventually abandoned completely once railroad routes bypassed the area. Today, Old Cahawba exists only as an archaeological park, with crumbling brick pillars and streets inhabited only by the shadows of the past. From the ruins of a very real capital, we move toward a place born from imagination, yet ending in the same silence. Unlike most ghost towns, Spectre was never truly a natural settlement. It was a film set built specifically for Tim Burton's 2003 movie Big Fish. Located on Jackson Island, this fictional town was left standing after production ended. Over time, the classic American-style houses began to decay. Vines wrapped themselves around wooden columns, and the shoes hanging from power lines, just as in the film, still sway in the wind. Though it has become a strange tourist attraction, Spectre remains a ghost in the truest sense. A town without a soul, slowly collapsing under the relentless humidity of the Alabama River. And while Spectre is an artificial ghost town, Bellefonte became a victim of misdirected progress. In Jackson County, the ruins of Bellefonte serve as a warning that transportation routes are the lifeblood of any town. In the mid-19th century, Bellefonte was a prosperous community with a busy courthouse and post office. But disaster arrived not as a storm, but as a railroad decision. The Memphis and Charleston line was intentionally built several miles away from Bellefonte's center. The impact was immediate. Businesses relocated, residents migrated to towns with stations, and the Civil War destroyed what remained. Today, only an old chimney and a few building foundations lie buried beneath dense trees, marking the quiet end of a once thriving place. A similar fate also struck Blakeley, once envisioned as a future rival to Mobile as Alabama's dominant port city. Located along the Tensaw River, Blakeley seemed to have everything required for success: a deep harbor and a strategically valuable position. But history took a darker path. Repeated outbreaks of deadly yellow fever swept through the town, wiping out much of its population. The final blow came during the Civil War, when Blakeley became the site of the last major battle of the conflict. On the very same day, General Lee surrendered. The combined weight of war trauma, epidemic disease, and ruthless commercial competition drove residents away, never to return, leaving behind a historic site now wrapped in silence. Leaving the riverbanks behind, we move into the mountain region where mining once promised sudden wealth. Battelle's story is one of industrial optimism taken too far at the base of Lookout Mountain. Founded in the early 1900s by investors from Ohio, the town was designed to become a massive iron ore processing center. Hundreds of workers' homes, coke ovens, and even a school were built in a short span of time. But the dream collapsed when the local iron ore was discovered to be too low in quality to process economically. The company went bankrupt, and almost overnight, Battelle became a dead town. Interestingly, nearly all of its iron structures were dismantled and sold as scrap during World War I, leaving behind only stone foundations that are now difficult to find beneath thick undergrowth. Sometimes the loss of political status can be even more fatal than the failure of a mine. That was the fate of St. Stephen's. Once holding the title of Alabama's earliest territorial capital, it served as an administrative center before the state was officially formed. At its peak, the town had its own newspaper and even the first bank in Alabama. Its decline was tragic, driven by shifting political boundaries and the emergence of yellow fever. When the seat of government moved elsewhere, economic importance followed. Merchants abandoned their river docks, and grand limestone buildings were torn down for their materials. Today, the site is preserved as a historic park, where visitors can still trace the outlines of streets that were once the main avenues of Alabama's earliest center of power. From centers of power, we shift to a town that was once the beating heart of river commerce. Standing along the Alabama River near Claiborne today, it is difficult to imagine that in the 1820s, this was one of the largest settlements in the region. Claiborne had more than 2,500 residents, an enormous population for that era. But the construction of bridges and highways elsewhere slowly made its river port irrelevant. Cholera outbreaks also accelerated the population's departure. Interestingly, one of the few surviving structures is the home of James Dillett, a political figure of the time. It now stands alone, as if guarding the secrets of a town's former glory, buried beneath forest and time for more than a century. While the previous towns have already become history and ghosts, some places are still technically alive, yet clearly struggling for breath. Oak Hill is the first of these, a portrait of a town that still exists on paper but feels dangerously close to extinction. According to the latest census data, its population has collapsed to only around 9 people. Located in Wilcox County, Oak Hill has lost nearly all of its economic foundation over the past decades. There is only a single small grocery store, one aging gas station, and the nearest school sits miles away. The town's greatest challenge is its aging population and the absence of any opportunity or attraction for younger generations. Oak Hill is widely predicted to become a true ghost town within the next decade or two. The same problem, on a larger scale, also haunts Jackson. Jackson may still appear active compared to Oak Hill, but its downward trend is deeply concerning to demographic analysts. As a town heavily dependent on timber and manufacturing industries, Jackson was hit hard as automation replaced human labor and global demand shifted elsewhere. Its steady year-by-year population decline reflects the early symptoms of urban shrinkage. Public services are increasingly strained as the tax base erodes. If Jackson cannot diversify beyond heavy industry, it risks following the path of many Rust Belt towns, places that slowly decay from within, long before they vanish completely. Farther south, Millry faces a different threat, one no less serious. In many ways, it represents the identity crisis unfolding across countless rural towns in Alabama. Millry was once a self-sustaining farming community, but modern agricultural practices have drastically reduced the need for local labor. Younger generations increasingly choose to leave for Mobile or even out of state entirely, seeking education and careers with greater promise. Data suggests that the balance between births and deaths here has grown increasingly uneven. Millry is now struggling to keep basic institutions alive, including its post office and emergency services. The loss of these foundational services is often the first step before a town is considered functionally gone. Isolated among rolling hills, Bakerhill is also beginning to lose its foothold. Located in Barber County, it is one of Alabama's youngest incorporated towns, officially becoming a city in 1997. Yet it has been among the fastest to show signs of decline. Ironically, even after gaining official status, the population continued to fall due to a lack of supporting infrastructure. Bakerhill suffers from limited broadband access and inadequate healthcare services, two necessities in the modern era. Without connectivity, new businesses hesitate to invest, and long-term residents are left relying only on fading remnants of what once was. Bakerhill is a clear example that administrative recognition alone is not enough to guarantee the survival of a community. Meanwhile, Beatrice in Monroe County is a bleak sight for anyone who appreciates classic American architecture. Along its main street, rows of old brick buildings stand with windows boarded up or shattered. The town was once known as a vital lumber distribution center along the Louisville and Nashville Railroad. But when the timber industry shifted toward trucking and rail operations were reduced, Beatrice lost its reason to remain active. Interestingly, it is one of the few towns that still preserves its original 19th century layout, yet that historic beauty is now overshadowed by a deep and lingering emptiness. Shifting to another river edge region, we find Coffeeville, a town struggling against deepening isolation. Coffeeville carries a long pioneer-era history, but its remote position has now become a liability. Although it sits near the Tombigbee River, the town has failed to benefit from modern water-based commerce due to the absence of competitive port infrastructure. Much of the surrounding land has transitioned into conservation areas or vast private holdings, limiting space for new residential development. As a result, Coffeeville's population has continued to decline toward critical levels. Without government intervention to improve faster land transportation links to larger urban centers, Coffeeville is widely expected to lose its town status in the near future. Even towns that appear more stable, such as Thomasville, have not escaped the same pressures. Thomasville has often been viewed as a regional hub for the surrounding area, but that identity is beginning to fade. While it still offers more retail and services than many other towns on this list, Thomasville has experienced a steady population decline over the past decade. The core issue is a rising cost of living paired with increasingly scarce high-wage job opportunities. Many national retail chains have begun closing their local branches, choosing instead to relocate closer to major interstate corridors. This hollowing out of the downtown area is especially dangerous because it can trigger a domino effect that erodes the town's role as a service center. Finally, we arrive at Grove Hill, not far from Thomasville, a town with strong administrative importance, yet fragile foundations. As the county seat of Clark County, Grove Hill should theoretically be secure. In reality, it faces serious challenges. Dependence on government functions alone is not enough to stop outward migration. Declining private sector activity has left many historic downtown buildings empty. Interestingly, Grove Hill maintains an impressive collection of local history museums, yet visitor numbers continue to fall. When even a county government center begins struggling to sustain its population and retail economy, it serves as a stark warning sign for rural Alabama as a whole. Traveling across these 15 towns reveals how dynamic and often fragile human settlement truly is. From the submerged legacy of Old Cahawba to the quiet struggle unfolding in Grove Hill, we see that no town is immune to the pressures of changing eras. These places are not merely clusters of buildings, but the fading remnants of the dreams and labor of earlier generations. In the end, this phenomenon leaves us with one unsettling question. If history has repeatedly proven that economics and nature can erase a town, what about the place we live in today?